I'll just mention your question is really one of the key foundations of the program that we developed at the Department of Justice to serve the law enforcement community, because after you connect with all those 20,000 organizations, how do you take advantage of it? So we have, and it's all based on the architecture that we developed, our segment level architecture, and it's all based on NIEM. But we have both federated as well as centralized search and analysis capabilities built into a number of products, a number of the systems that we are implementing across the country. One DOJ was the one that we did at a regional level, and then at a national level we're implementing NDEX. And NDEX is kind of about a third of the way implemented across the country, and will be implemented across the entire country within a year for all those organizations. All those have very deep analysis capabilities.
Question. Given the obvious points of intersection in areas such as immigration, maritime control, and things like that, to what extent is NIEM outreach being extended to Canada and to other international bodies? You know, I've seen very little reference within the conference about how NIEM is being taken, from the Canadian or from the Mexican standpoint in particular.
I'll mention at least a recent news on that. I'm part of something called the Cross-Border Crime Forum with Canada, and it's Canada Public Safety and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and DOJ and the law enforcement elements of DHS that participate in this. And at our most recent meeting, which was just last week, the Canadian side basically has proposed as an initiative to adopt NIEM in that arena. Now, there's a long way between announcing it and implementing it, but the intent is there. They've already done a feasibility study, which we participated in and helped them to understand NIEM and how it compares to the standards that are already in Canada. But based on that, they are moving forward with the intent to adopt NIEM in that community. Now, I know we've had a lot of discussions, and I think others are perhaps more conversant than I am on exactly the current status of them, but we've had discussions with a number of delegations that have come in from the European countries and from Australia about NIEM, and all of them are at least somewhat active in terms of not only discussions but also pilots and things like that. So maybe, Donna, can you update us on some of that?
So this is the fun part about NIEM. You don't know who's adopting it because you can just download it and use it. And but what we do know is when people call us, like the equivalent of the Attorney General's Department in Australia and their public safety department called us and asked us, we found this thing, NIEM, on the internet. Can we use it? And my answer was like, yeah, yes, use it, please. And so those types of calls we're starting to get, emails we're getting. We have been working with some groups in the Netherlands. We have Eurojust. John, are you here? You had the same thing. So Eurojust here, John was in the hallways talking that they are under the process of studying whether or not something like NIEM or a NIEM model for Eurojust in Europe would work. And there are levels of activity that we can't measure specifically, but we know. The LinkedIn group that we have in NIEM boasts about 12 countries who are at least tracking our conversations and tracking our progress. And they're the typical Australia, New Zealand, and the ones that we know about. And there are several that we don't know that we didn't know were even considering NIEM. And so it's hard for us, like it's hard to track local adoption. It is consistently harder for us, again, to track international adoption. But there's seemingly a bit of a groundswell, especially in the area of the most mature parts of NIEM around justice. And how do we apply that for other countries' issues? If you think about DHS alone, our Customs and Border Protection trades information with 100 countries. That our U.S. visit program is trading information with significant amount of countries. This is an issue we will have to address, and understanding what it means to use NIEM if someone's going to adopt it in an international forum. And it goes everything from ensuring that we have the appropriate language tags within the XML structure, but also, how far are we going to go with encapsulating other languages that are not Latin-based. And so there's a significant challenge in internationalizing a model like NIEM, but we do feel like there's a significant amount of activity.
Hi, I'm Chris DeWeese. I'm an implementer out in St. Louis. So my question to you is, we've asked a lot about driving adoption of NIEM. So what are the plans to build a community for the NIEM implementers to stay connected? Because I think this conference was a great way for all the implementers to get connected. And I think if the implementers continue to stay connected after this conference until next year, that we can help drive NIEM adoption from the grassroots level. So what are the plans to continue to build that community for the implementers?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that has been the success of NIEM to date. It's been the fact that there have been implementers out there using NIEM has driven us to do the right thing and do the things we need to do to keep up with the actual value and use of NIEM across the community. But I will turn over to Donna to kind of give us specific plans of the PMO.
So I do think that we have a lot more that we can offer the community. We don't yet have a strategy, a Web 2.0 strategy that allows us to harness the goodwill of this audience. We have a pretty much a static web strategy and a occasional newsletter strategy. So it's a one-way strategy. We send you information, we present to you information, and if you're not on one of our governance groups, unless you know where to send a question through the help desk, we don't really harness that very well, and we need to do better. And you heard earlier this week, yesterday, that we've committed to doing better, and you should expect more from us. And so, given that the current administration is keen on leveraging Web 2.0 technologies, I think it's on us to provide a better platform to create these collaboration zones and to ensure that the production of NIEM and the tools of NIEM feel much more open source. And that we can, Chris, you were NIEM guy for a long time, and I know you were out there doing this on your own, blogging about NIEM solutions and how to use NIEM with .NET and how to use NIEM with Java. And we need to find better places for you to get your voice out and to get the collective voices here who now today watch our LinkedIn group for technical questions and get to them before I do. And so it's on us to provide a better platform for you to do that. We do have challenges with that, but look towards this executive steering committee helping the program office to make that happen sometime this year.
I'm Gordon Christensen from the state of North Dakota, and I think a lot of business leaders have had a long history of building siloed applications. As we try to make NIEM a requirement in everything new coming up, how do we inject the requirements for information sharing or help them understand or understand where the needs for information sharing are in new projects?
Well, I'll just tee that up. I mean, I'll harken back to what Vivek said. We have to have burning platforms. I mean, in order to, NIEM provides the possibility. If you adopt NIEM, it provides the possibility of information sharing. It doesn't enforce information sharing or force you to share information. That takes purpose and a burning platform, and you've got to have a business need. So, in my view, we need in the different communities that are represented, we need interest groups who kind of brainstorm and collaborate on what the needs are, and then those need to be prioritized in terms of coming up with which are the IEPDs that are most need.
I think it's also a mindset issue, and I believe things are changing in the federal government space to the positive in this regard, right? And today, it's incumbent upon us as leaders in technology to work with our business components or the mission components in order to ensure that as we design systems, you can't anticipate all the requirements, right? And it's hard today to sometimes know exactly who you'll be sharing information with or how you're going to be sharing information with in 5 years from now. Yet, boy, you really don't want to have to redesign or build a whole new system in order to make that happen, right? So standardization on NIEM, driving that, forcing it into RFPs and the like, that's good. I think just the general development of systems today with the thought of open government, right? Notwithstanding that there are significant privacy issues we have to deal with and security issues, but from an architectural and design standpoint, thinking about it from an open standpoint, from a design perspective, recognizing we also have those policy issues to deal with, but that way things, as they evolve, you will be poised, if you will, to handle that information sharing within these systems. And so I believe, under OMB's leadership, new leadership, I believe that is the kind of discussions that we're now having that I haven't seen in the federal government before, to this degree. But I think it's a very positive thing, by the way.
Van, as you talked about, and we had a conversation with Vivek, sometimes it's an instant or a big problem that comes up, and everybody rallies around it and says, we need to solve this problem. Here's a business need, let's solve it. And it just gets solved because the momentum of the attention on it gets it done. But really there's lots and lots of problems and issues out there that really need to be identified in the field, like you were talking about, Van. And then frankly, it requires leadership. It requires people out there to say, this is a problem, I need to take this on, and I need to build up these communities, I need to build up these people to recognize the problem and start bringing it to attention through the groups, a lot of the groups that already exist, and either through Global or through the other communities in NIEM. I think it is somewhat about a state and local leadership issue that you're seeing problems, your neighbor's seeing the same problems, and somebody across the country is seeing the same kind of issue. So start finding ways to get together with them and make it an issue, and make information sharing an issue.
Yeah, I think it's both a ground up and a top down kind of approach that we need to follow, and both I think are hopefully resident in this group and have been demonstrated in the past with our NIEM community. One of the things that I think we're looking to our friends at OMB to help us with is, and I've heard that, Vivek said that this morning, we need help in making sure that we get at the table, at the right tables, where the burning issues of the federal government are being discussed, to see if NIEM can play a role. And that's kind of just making sure that they're aware of NIEM, the benefit of it, it's there, it works, why not use it, kind of thing. And that, obviously the primary there is health IT. So I think that's what has to happen at the top level. At the bottom level, I think, is what Bob just spoke to. You see it all the time, and you know what the pressure points are. And I think there's the wealth of the numbers that are people that are working with the legacy systems and the new systems that are being developed, and IEPDs are being developed all the time based on the leadership from the field.